Today, we have an all-in discussion with seasoned real estate professionals as they share their insights and stories in our very first podcast called Behind the Listing.
Hi everyone, this is Meg.
And Mikey from the Earthauz team.
On this show, you will learn about real estate insights, trends, and tips from top real estate brokers and industry experts in the country.
Before we start this episode, please subscribe to our podcast Behind the Listing and view the full content of this episode on our YouTube channel, Earthauz.
If you'd like to reach us with feedbacks, ideas, or questions about Behind the Listing, simply reach out to us on our website, earthauz.com or facebook.com/earthauzph. Okay. On today's episode, we are joined by a fashion designer who established herself as the celebrity's go-to for bridal wears and red carpet gowns. She's also one of Earthauz's valued client. So our speaker for today is Miss Patricia Santos.
Hi guys. Like Megan said earlier, I'm Patricia Santos. I'm a fashion designer that specializes in bridal gowns.
Patricia, how long have you been investing in real estate? If so, who introduced you to the world of real estate investing?
I actually just started pretty recently, like maybe before the pandemic. I built my business and then I realized na it's nice then pala to invest in real estate because with real estate, of course, the price appreciates instead of just me having to keep all my savings in the bank. I think investing it in real estate is a good way to actually make sure that years from today, my money would grow.
Were you influenced by someone or was it just your own initiative to start investing?
It was really more of my own initiative. I was looking for places other than, kasi like example for me, my business, kasi this is something that I really manage. Compared to like investing in real estate, eventually it's gonna be like a passive income. So I was really looking forward to finding more passive income that won't really make me work, um, to achieve my financial goals in the future. So while I was researching about it, I think the real estate was the one that's pretty appealing to me.
Yeah, that's right, Patricia. Like especially now with the uncertain times, we really have to find ways to earn as for passive incomes, no. So yeah, speaking of, given the situation with still the ongoing pandemic, did your priorities ever change when it comes to what you were looking for in a property? Did you have like specific property in mind pre-pandemic, and was it affected now?
I think right now what became more important to me is like looking for a place that I can envision myself living at, just to make sure that whoever, if I decide to rent it or sell it in the future, the fact that I would want to live there, I'm sure somebody else would want to live there too. I think it's very important, especially like, the space. I want to make sure it's when I walk in the space, it's parang airy, or like how do I say it, like maaliwalas for everybody. I like this vibe. I like it when the vibe is like more positive. So like maybe bigger lobbies, bigger spaces in terms of the bedroom, since a lot of times we just stay in the house. And I think now what I really look forward to is also having like a balcony, especially in condo spaces.
Yeah, actually, having a balcony or an outdoor space is quite rare, no, for condominium development. So I think beyond customers themselves, developers are also releasing new developments that would include balconies. Parang future-proof yung developments.
Seems like everybody wants that breath of fresh air, people are really looking for bigger spaces, for balconies, where they could just roam around freely, at least walk around the house and not just limit their movements to the four corners of a condominium. Joining us also is Ralph Ocampo, one of Earthhouse's real estate salesperson. So, Ralph, could you give us some insights? Are there like a lot of clients like Patricia who has same sentiments with looking for the same properties?
Yeah, it's actually very nice to know about Patricia's concerns during these it's these are trying times, but she really had that positive outlooks, like, or that forward moving mentality, especially when it comes to investing in real estate. Especially now, there are a lot of clients who have hesitations in property investments because, of course, there are probable delays or probable other concerns, that financial obligations. But it's really, like, as for Patricia, having balconies and spacious properties is a breath of fresh air for us as sellers and investors. Knowing about Patricia's mentality towards investments in properties is also a breath of fresh air, to encourage more people and more investors to invest.
Moving forward, no, but what you mentioned earlier, Patricia, that you decided to invest in real estate for passive income. Beyond that, I mean, what made you decide to purchase a particular property mismo? Was it because it's on sale, or what real estate professionals call fire sale, or below the fair market value, or was it the tempting pre-selling offers by developers?
I think it was really more about the good promotions that a lot of real estate companies offer right now, especially in good locations. So we've seen a lot here in BGC that they didn't really go for like they didn't really give a discount, but it was more like they were giving you a nicer um, terms and payment terms. They were giving you nicer payment terms in terms of really just paying off the unit. And it's not, and I think parang normally you don't get this kind of deals with real estate. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, nice, because it's in a good location, and the payment scheme is not so bad. So it would be nice for me to invest my money now, compare later on when everything is much normal. I'm sure it will eventually go back to the normal rates.
Actually, that's true because I myself have never seen developers pump out very tempting promotions, especially the higher end market wherein you see very flexible payment terms. Um, and as you mentioned, it's better to do it now or invest now than having to wait and then baka later on the developers would then revert to their old terms, no? So it makes it easier for a lot of people to invest. So earlier you mentioned that investing in real estate was your own initiative, but when you were about to invest na in real estate, did you actually seek advice from someone who obviously is a real estate investor like yourself or a real estate broker? Ibang they would basically guide you in which property is good, what would fit your lifestyle, what would fit your needs. Did you ever ask any advice from anyone?
For me, kasi since I am the kind of person who knows what I want, when I want something, the first step that I do is I research about it. It's very important that aside from another person telling you that it's nice, you actually research it for yourself. And then when I feel like, okay, I really want to go for it, that's the time I talk to my real estate agent, and then I ask her like, oh, what are the amenities? Are the unit nice? Is it spacious? Is the location good? And then if she tells me, yeah, it's all good, I would actually take the initiative to visit the site. That's very important for me also. So I think the most the most important advice that I could give is like, for me, example, search, go look for research on your own. That's very important.
Okay, so Ralph, do you also have any advices, especially for our listeners who are probably seeking for investments?
Yeah, actually, with me, I'd have to agree with Patricia. As an investor, for investors, it's actually very important that you research on the project that you're really looking for. Basically, our role as sales agents or as brokers is just really to guide, the investors and our clients. At the end of the day, the decision always ends up with the client. And what's really important is we provide the client with the ins and outs of investing in real estate. It's not just all the good stuff. The clients really have to know the negative things about investing. Basically, we have to protect their best interest, and it's always what we're after. And it's really nice to know that Patricia has her confidence in her seller and broker, because it's really important, as a guide.
Yeah, actually, Patricia, you mentioned na you do basically your own research, but at the same time, you later on you worked with a real estate broker. So when you decided to invest in this property, was there any did you have any preference when choosing a real estate broker or a seller to deal with? I mean, what do you look for in a seller when dealing with them?
I think for me, the most important thing is somebody that I can trust, I feel at ease with. Because, this person would be like the person who will um, help you find that perfect property for you. So I should be able to say whatever I feel about it. Sometimes, kasi but just by looking at the photos of the property, oh wow, it's so nice, I love it. And then later on, you go there and you realize, parang it's not pala for me. So, you really have to find a real estate agent that's really like compatible with you, who's patient with you, who understands your point of view. Those are the most important things that I consider when getting a real estate agent. And most importantly, of course, somebody who has like credentials, because there are a lot of real estate agents but you don't know if they're trustworthy.
Yeah, that's actually correct. I think one of the most important factors in choosing a real estate agent or a broker is really to find someone that you could really trust. How did you know about Earthauz?
Well, it was an accident, to be honest. I was in the car with my friend and she's training with you guys. And then parang I was listening. I was with her, so she was listening to your seminar while we were in the car. And then while you guys were doing the seminar, I was listening to it, of course, also because it was on speaker. And then while that person was talking about the properties, I was like, oh my gosh, parang I like this. Parang, oh, it sounds promising. And then yeah, my friend who's with your team right now, she actually she introduced me to the properties that I was really interested in. And then after that, that's it. Parang I was able to I was able to buy the property.
Yeah, I remember that when actually the her as Patricia's seller or agent really told us that they really looked for the properties, and they went on viewing different sites from Makati to BGC. I mean, different projects. So we really knew that Patricia's really in the market to invest in properties. That's why we really wanted to give her the best property out there, because it's her hard-earned money. And as sellers also, and being her friend, she wants to have that more than the sale. It's the after sale service that we want to give the client. So you'll often hear some clients who lost their agents or who transferred to another developer, but they lost track of them and they are left with no one to run to. But in case of Patricia, she has her friend as her seller as well, whom she can trust with her hard-earned money with, and who can provide her with the best options available out there.
Can you share with us the process of being an investor and looking for properties during this pandemic? So, what were the challenges? Because, of course, it's not the same compared to pre pandemic, where we could just look at properties whenever we want and go to site visits whenever we want. So, what were the challenges and maybe the pros and cons from a buyer's stand?
I think the most challenging part is actually, you know, going to the site. Like sometimes you're scared, like, oh, is it safe? And then some properties, I mean like developers, they weren't able to build their showrooms. So some properties are showing you really nice deals, but then you don't get to see what the space will be because they don't have showrooms. I think those are the cons during this pandemic. For the pros, I think maybe, yeah, because I'm really more of a positive person. I look at the positive side whenever I'm doing any kind of decision or investment. Is that I think because the payment scheme is not as crazy as before, like you don't really have to put out or cash out a big amount of money. I'm able to, if I have excess money in my pocket, I can just invest it in real estate, and then years from now, after the pandemic, I have a property.
Yeah, so the developers should really listen in because it's very important talaga na may mga showrooms because sometimes it can be a deal breaker. Photos kasi like what Patricia said, it can be deceiving, but it's really different when you have showrooms out there that the clients can actually feel and not just imagine the unit, just really be there in that moment that they're really living in that future home.
Patricia, can you share any tips for our budding real estate investors out there?
I think, like what I said earlier, the most important tip that I can give you is research on your own before investing in anything. It's important to research, not just look at the photos, because sometimes the photos can be deceiving. And when it's finished, it's not really actually like that. But it's our responsibility to research about it, to ask about it, find a real estate broker or agent that you really trust, and then take the time to ask them all the questions. And then it's also important for me to compare, like what I did, what Ralph told earlier. When I started looking for a property, I would actually go to Makati, BGC, or like Ortigas, and I would compare the properties, the pros and cons, the things that I like and what I don't like. And then that's when I get to decide which one I'll buy. And also, it's important that you study the payments, of course. I think, aside from getting excited to buying your property, it's also important to really study the whole payment scheme of the condo that you're buying or any property that you're buying, from the beginning of the payment till the very last. You really have to think about, like, if you're able to pay for it. Do you have enough money? Would you be able to finish paying for it? Like, if in any case you're not paying it in full cash, because of course, I think there was one time, based on my experience, so something that people can learn, um, is that there was one time na parang I got so excited with this property, and then later on I realized na parang I made a mistake. So what I did was I had to back out, of course, cut my loss, and then of course the reservation fees are not refundable anymore. So diba, it's sayang. So before you actually confirm in buying a property, just make sure that you research everything and also studied the whole um, payment plan. So when you buy the property, you won't have any regrets.
Yes, and talking about payments, I think what Patricia really did was, it's a really good thing as an investor to take advantage of the payment terms offered right now during the pandemic, because it's when it's a low buy-in stage right now. Before, if you're to spend or to acquire a property that's really expensive or on the high-end market, you'd really have to shell out a lot of money or cash. But right now, developers are offering at least 10% or 10% down payment, or sometimes it's even split into 6 months with low monthly amortization. And that's why I think Patricia really has that advantage and edge as an investor, because at the end of the day, she can manage her other financial obligations, her businesses, and she can focus on other stuff that it's not all about investing in real estate, but all about diversifying your portfolio of investment. And that's really a plus for Patricia as an investor.
All right. Patricia, thank you for sharing with us the perspective of a real estate investor. For someone who has been relatively new to real estate investing, it seems like you've already had a wealth of experience for the past year of getting into real estate, no? So to our listeners out there, whenever you need your wedding gowns or your dresses, you know who to call. Please Patricia's page on PS Official. It's PSOFICIEL on Instagram. And for our real estate investors there, if you're looking for a new property, you know who to call.
I hope I'm able to give you insights on um, starting your own real estate investment. Yeah, thank you, Mike, for promoting my my atelier. So if you need gowns, specifically wedding gowns, we're just one Instagram message away, or you can email at us at info@psofficial.com.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, no, it's not just about real estate investment for Patricia. Weddings are also an investment, diba? Especially the gowns and everything you really have to prepare for. So I think
Yes.
personally, Patricia's really one of the best in her field, and she's really, that's why she's the go-to person of celebrities out there. And hoping that we can also learn a lot from you, Patricia, especially in your own field of weddings and designing. Yeah, thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
You've reached the end of another episode of Behind the Listing.
Click next to continue on to the next episode.